Don't forget to like and subscribe. Good day and welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest today is not merely an actor, but a Hollywood insider with a penchant for all things extraordinary. From wavering tales in the eerie realms of the enthusiasm movement to surviving the paranormal tides, he's been there and done that and lived to tell the tale. You may have caught a glimpse of him in the hollowed halls of Schitt's Creek, where he added his own touch of peculiar charm. Or perhaps you've been enthralled by his exploits in Robin Hood, defying norms with every arrow shot. But the man doesn't stop at mere acting. His creative energy pulses through projects like Choices, delves into the depths of The Great Divide, and even dabbles in the enigmatic world of Frankenpimp's Revenge. And let's not forget the riveting odyssey through the cyber underground or his gut-busting performances with Ha Ha Halton. His journey of roles spans genres, defying conventions and leaving audiences hungry for more. From the gritty streets of Tex Watts' Blood City Cops to the chilling mysteries of Murder Wall, his presence is known in every frame. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jim Carey. Jim, thank you so much for your time and welcome to the show.
Well, thanks so much, Chris, and what a nice intro. It looks like you read my whole IMDb profile.
Well,
Anyway,
did some
yeah,
research for sure.
so I'll just tell a little bit about how I got into acting. It was just by chance. I ended up acting in a feature film being made by a first-time film director who was very passionate about Shakespeare and the fact that Shakespeare did not write what's attributed to him. So I thought, yeah, I could do that. A friend asked me to come and act, and I did. I went, and it was so crazy, but so fun. And so that's that was 6 years ago. And since then, as you mentioned, I've done a lot of stuff. So I'm sure I'll get into that a little bit. But it's an interesting time to be an actor. We've gone through COVID. We've had a writer's strike, a director's strike. The actor's strike is still on. So the business has been kind of weird and upside down, but it will come back. And when it does come back, I'll be there and it'll be a lot of fun. So anyway, Chris, back to you.
So, Jim, you said you've been doing it for 6 years now. What were you doing? What was the profession before you got into acting?
I was a financial guy in the public sector. I have a Bachelor of Commerce, an MBA, and a certified management accounting degree. And you might say, wow, that's impressive. Why the heck are you an actor now earning 150? Oh no, maybe a little more. Anyway, why are you an actor? Because it's so much more fun. Even though I had a lot of fun doing the accounting, this is more interesting that each character you get to play, it requires self-exploration. It requires you to understand, what is the character's issue? What do they want? Even when I'm doing background, I do that. So, non-speaking, but still wanting to be present in the role. And in fact, I've had a number of the crew when they're watching on the cameras, and they say, wow, you're really in the scene. You look like you belong there. And that's what I love to hear. Anyway, so it's so much fun, and yet it's also it can be very deep if you take it there. The other Jim Carrey, I know he's very into method. And in fact, when he was preparing for the role of, is it Andy Kaufman?
Mm-hmm.
He went into it 6 months before, and he was just being the character and all his nastiness. And it drove his family, his coworkers, everybody crazy. But, that's real commitment. I'm not quite that deep, but I do try and explore and figure out what am I doing, and make the character believable and sympathetic, I hope.
You had mentioned something there, this self-exploration dive when you go into characters. What do you mean by that? Normally we get the script and you say, hey, be that person there, but you actually talked about a self-exploration and looking in. Can you explain that a little more?
Yeah, sure. So I'm actually booked to do a job called Ragged Man on a news show called The Well. So I've been trying to find out about it. I haven't found much, but they wanted me not to shave. They wanted me to not cut my hair, not do anything for about the last few weeks. And since I already had a beard and everything, I thought, sure, yeah, no problem. Anyway, I'm trying to think, okay, if I'm a homeless man, what kind of homeless man am I? Am I a guy who just fell on hard luck recently? Am I a long term? Am I a good guy? Am I, so I always try and frame it from something I know. And I believe we could all end up there easily enough. I mean, you go through a divorce, you lose your job, you're now a starving actor, you can't pay your rent, they kick you out. What are you going to do? So, I mean, you could be homeless, you or I, anyone,
Mhm.
and many of the people have mental health issues, but I think we all do. And I sympathize greatly with them that they're perhaps struggling with it or perhaps, beyond even struggling. But I think we all have our struggles. And so every day, we choose, we get out of bed and we do what we can. And so I try and then frame that as much as I can. How will I do it? You mentioned Robin Hood, and I played a homeless guy there, and it was a pretty simple scene. I'm sleeping in front of City Hall, and the police come and roust me. And the Director X, said, "Yeah, I want more struggle with these guys, and more. Oh, you're hurting me. Let me go."
Mhm.
So it's pretty simple. I just did that. But I had also considered, how could I end up homeless and what would it be like? And, not that I really know, but I mean, I've slept in my car sometimes, up at a ski resort in the summer and there's no place open. You sleep in your car, Well, that's not quite homeless, but, it's sort of like, yeah, you could feel like it. Anyway, I think it's important. And even in background, that you're walking, but you're walking with intent. So what are you? You're a businessman. You're a guy going to have an affair. You're just going for a coffee. You're going for a job interview. It makes it different. How are you walking?
Mhm.
And how are you sitting in a bar? So all these things, I think, you could just say, oh, I'm sitting in the bar, or I'm sitting in the bar waiting for a friend, wondering if they're going to come, or what's going on with these people over there. They seem to be having a fight, and so you pay appropriate attention to everything but the camera.
So
That's it.
when you're putting on these performances and you're diving into these characters and we're kind of educating ourselves on that, have you decided in these 6 years to do any type of a version of formal acting education or weekend classes or anything along those lines to help get you into that mindset and get there quicker?
Yeah, I've done quite a bit of training, especially with Second City. So with Ha Ha Halton, you guys showed me some of the tricks of improv.
Hmm.
I found that very interesting, and I think then doing it more formally with Second City, where you show up in a class, a bunch of people who are doing this, some of whom are not actors,
Yeah.
but everyone, they have a motivation to be there. And what do they want to get out of it? But really, everyone sticks to the training. Yet interestingly, some people can't let themselves go enough, for example, to sing. And now I'm no great singer, but if they say sounds like a song, I'll make something up. Is it funny? Is it good? I don't know. Some people will laugh, some people won't. But I'm willing to put myself out there to that extent. And I have done a little on the acting side, a little training as well, but not so much. But more, I've done level 5 in Second City, which was great. And I continue to consider going back and doing more training because there's a lot to learn, and I don't have all the answers for sure.
Well, for those of us out there who don't know what Sounds Like a Song is, it's a fabulous improv game, and I would encourage you to Google it for sure. It's one of the funniest games and also one of the most nightmarish games that you could possibly play. But
I
while you
would
were
say
at
nightmarish. I mean, for many people, and I think this is where the real benefit comes for people who get in their head too much, which I
Mhm.
think it's most of us at some times. If you can get out of there and just say, okay, what kind of song can I sing about that last line that we said? And it can even be gibberish, or you could mumble, or you could hum, or you could, do a little dance and da da da, Anyway, it's not like we're expecting you to become David Foster with Celine Dion, oh my gosh, listen to the voice. No, it's not about that. And it's even funnier, I think, when someone tries, and obviously, they have no singing training, they don't even do karaoke, they're horridly uncomfortable, but they then give it their all and sing. And they sing loud and proud, whatever mumbling gibberish it is. And they go for it. And I think that's what acting is about also. And I think with auditions, and you were mentioning you have one, I mean, it's a hard process, but they say you should do one sort of normal and then try and do one where you're a bit out there more, where you're a bit different.
Hmm.
So again, you give the people at the other end, whether they're wanting to hire you or whether they're watching you for a laugh, you give them something else to work with. And I think that's always good. I mean, they may not like it, but it's something. And if it's different, again, out of the 50 people who interviewed for that commercial you mentioned, you know, they might like that. And if you just do the normal, well, you're one of the 50 and everyone did the normal. So is someone better at the normal than you or look more like the normal they want?
Right.
You never know, right?
So with your training up to with Second City and all the other classes you've taken, what's kind of the main takeaway would you say is kind of a constant or consistent with all of the training that you've received is like, this is the one thing that keeps coming up over and over again?
So I think there's a couple of things. So I'll cheat on you, but I think one, paying attention to your acting partners. So whether you're doing background or whatever, I mean, you pay attention to where everyone else is going
Hmm.
and where are the main characters and what are they doing. So I mean, if they're getting into a gunfight over there, you see it. You're sort of like, your reaction should be what it is, and you're like, hey, look over there. Well, what's going on? You're mouthing your words. But and it's in real life, it's in auditions, it's when you're actually doing a speaking role, whether it be at Second City or whether it be online with someone. Listen to what they say. Look at what they're non-verbally saying, and really, dive into that. Listen. So, I mean, the first rule of improv is, go ahead, tell me.
Well, it's the yes and.
Yeah. So someone says, "Oh, you've suddenly turned into an elephant." I mean, your reaction could be, "What?" Or it could be, "Yeah, I'm the biggest damn elephant, and I'm going to lift that car right out of the way so we can get going." Oh, cool. I didn't even know we were in a traffic jam here. Yeah.
I
You know,
didn't know I was an elephant.
yeah, you build the story, and again, as crazy as it can seem. So the second part is, and I mentioned it, don't get into your head too much. Don't overthink things. And I think this is in life. I think this is in acting. You get yourself prepared, and then just be there and be ready to be that character that you've decided, and don't let anything throw you off that. So something crazy happens and they're having a gunfight there and bullets are flying and they're pointing the gun at you. I mean, you act like you would. Are you a hero? You're going to run at them, or no, you're going to duck, or you're going to get your friend down, cover them up so that they don't get shot. Whatever you're going to do. Again, if you've thought yourself through, then you just react, which is much more natural. I mean, I think acting is about that. It's about being natural. I mean, you want people on stage, on screen, as crazy as the situation they've arranged. You want them to feel real and relatable. And I think, again, if people are out of their head and not too stiff, the reactions seem better. Everything moves along, and people get into it because, wow, that person seemed exactly like they belonged there. Yeah, they were with a crazy person. They turned into an elephant, but hey, that was fun.
So when we talk about this and we look at looking at scene partners and diving into it and having all of that, the respect and the same mission and goal, is there a specific type of role that you would say, if I had to play this role, that would be the dream, or this is the type of path I see my acting career on in this type of genre? What would that look like for you?
So it's pretty general. I mean, I think I can look anything from the homeless guy to the billionaire. I mean, you look at Richard Branson, for example. I figure I could play Richard Branson. I could play a younger version of Bruce Dern. I could play a younger version of Clint Eastwood. So again, I could play a billionaire. I could play a poor guy. I could play a lawyer, a judge, a doctor. I'm not that concerned with that. I think the perfect roles for me are ones where it's either more improv or not too many lines. Like, at my age, I don't, and having never learned really how to do it,
Mhm.
you give me 1,000 lines, I'll get the idea. I'll have the concept. I'll probably remember the first two lines correctly. And then after that, it's going to be improv, So any directors out there who want to hire me, that's more where I am. If you've got 1,000 lines, and I have done some smaller films that are like that, and it's a horrible struggle for me. So I just prefer not to subject myself or the director, the writer, everyone to doing 100 takes trying to get my 10 lines in a row all straight. It's not going to happen. So anyway,
It's very honest and transparent of you to say that. I mean, a lot of people won't even remotely bring that up, and for you to say that about yourself, saying, "Hey, I'm honest and transparent over here, everybody. This is what my strength is. I can do this role, but my strength is here, and here's some challenges and obstacles. But hey, heads up, I'm telling you on day one, not day 30."
yeah, I mean, I would rather and I mean, again, if it was day 1 to day 30 and I had 10 lines each day, I can manage that, so I got 300 lines spread over 30 days,
Mhm.
probably just fine. But if I've got, very intense monologues, even like Shakespeare, yeah, to be or not to be, that is a wonderful question. The answer I do not know, but, if you ask me again, I will make something up. Anyway, you know, everyone probably knows that first bit, to be or not to be. That is the question. But then serious Shakespeare actors, they know the whole thing.
Mhm.
Not so much. Anyway, I would like to just divert a little bit and talk
Yeah, of
about
course.
a couple of roles I've really enjoyed. So I've done this for 6 years, and I've done a lot of background. I've done speaking roles in a couple of shows, in a few smaller short films, and really enjoyed that. And two of my most favorite things, one was a role I had at the Real Heart Film Festival. They do live reads. And so we had a short screenplay called Whatever Happened to Johnny Faith. And I played his agent. And he had disappeared like 15 years ago when he was on the verge of becoming bigger than Elvis and the Beatles.
Mhm.
It was like, a huge trending star. Anyway, finally, I get a phone call from him. So it's a short scene, but every second word I said practically was fuck. Johnny, what the fuck? How the hell did you disappear, you fucking asshole? What the? Anyway, it was just so much fun and so liberating to be able to be, a nice asshole, if I could say. Another very favorite memory is on Schitt's Creek. And I was one of about 15 protesters. And I was, fairly close to Catherine O'Hara. And she could see me because I'm quite tall. And I was at the back with a big sign that said, "We are not angry. We are disappointed." Anyway, I'm acting and, of course, just miming and, you know, miming like I really don't understand. How could you do this? How could you stab Schitt's Creek in the back? If you've
Yeah.
seen the episode, season 6, episode 9, doesn't it says a little bit what she said, but basically she said Schitt's Creek is not anywhere you'd ever want to be. And so, as town people who thought she was our friend, we're all like, what? And how? No, and she's making excuses and being her usual funny self. Anyway, we did our 5 takes and then it was good, cut. Yeah, okay, we'll take a break now. She comes and she's talking to a guy just off in front of me, and I'm trying not to stare at her because I mean she's an icon of Canadian acting. I mean, she's done so many great things. And I hear, you really got me, in Catherine O'Hara's voice. And I'm thinking, she's talking to me.
Hmm.
I look at her and she's like, yeah, you really got me. And I'm like, quick second, what the hell does that mean? you know? So my response is, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to distract you. And she's like, oh no, silly. The way you were acting made my character feel more like I should feel. And I'm like, oh, thank goodness. And then I just said, thank you. It's like, okay, not that I did anything wrong. Thankfully, she appreciated my method and, how I was acting. So anyway, it's a small but very fun thing that, I don't know how many people. And Chris, have you ever had a compliment from a bigger star?
No, I have not. So it's hashtag jealous over here on your part, Jim.
Well, thanks.
But where do you find these things? Are there like film meetup groups? How do you get these next projects if you don't have an agent or if you want to stay abreast to the knowledge that's going on? How do you do it outside of Facebook groups? Are there networking events? What does that piece look like? Are there stuff like that?
Yeah, there are actually lots of things. So I mentioned the Real Heart Film Festival. So every year, I don't know, it's probably April or May, they have auditions for their live screen reads, which is a bunch of actors preparing and then reading a script and to some extent acting and being in costume to portray the script as well as they can. They've been doing it on Zoom recently. So I won't say more about that, but actors who are interested in doing that, that's one good thing. There's also Kino film festivals, which happen every couple of months at the Madison Pub. Again, you can search and find them on Facebook, Kino, Kino. We have a film meetup group that actually met last night. We meet on the fourth Thursday of every month. It's called the Film Mercenaries. We meet at the Imperial Pub. So you go there, and I mean, it was really interesting last night that we got into it at the end. We're having a discussion about life being worse
Hmm.
than we remember, from 10 or 20 or 40 years ago. And it was, a number of ages of people. And so we were just talking about that, and we agreed it was pretty interesting, and maybe it would make a good short film.
Hmm.
And so one of the guys volunteered and he said, yeah, he's going to do that. He got everyone's information
Wow.
and hopefully we'll shoot that over the next month or two. And then he'll edit it and, maybe we'll put it online, maybe we'll put it, but it's interesting. And I mean, acting, I think since it's so much about being real, if these things really are real, like, the state of the economy, like not having any acting work for weeks or months, like the rent's going up horrifically,
Mhm.
and I mean for some people no problem, they got enough money, they're doing fine. Other people it's like, oh geez, it's a nightmare, and then people have recently come to Canada. So we have all kinds in the acting industry and the film industry, and there's so many groups and things that happen. I would just advise everyone, be a little cautious. If anyone asks you for more than $5 or $10 to go to an event, really consider. And I mean, so film festivals, there's a lot of film festivals in Toronto you can go to. You meet people, you chat, you meet some people who have been doing it for years, you meet some people who are brand new. It's okay, And the 48-hour film challenge is another. Again, I've done that. I did my third this year. And this time I was an actor, sort of assistant producer. And it's very satisfying. So I guess I just love everything pretty much about acting. other than doing 25 takes. And even that can be okay. Guillermo del Toro likes to do a lot. I mean, he's a big perfectionist. And on Nightmare Alley, which you did not mention, he, he's very nice, but he wants to get it perfect. And so, you could sort of wonder, well, what wasn't perfect about that? And I mean, there could have been a little flash of lighting problem, or it could be, someone was just in the wrong place, or the timing a little bit, you don't know.
Hmm.
He does a lot of takes. So it's got to be very tiring for the actors, tiring for background as well. But background, it's kind of cool trying to remember, okay, where are we starting now? And where was Bradley Cooper standing? And where was I standing? Who was I beside? What was I doing? What was I, anyway, you can't get it perfect, but there's so much you can do here. And then the schools. So that's another thing I would say is, and I'm going to get back into it, you can do as an actor, whether you're in the union, which I am, or whether you're not, you can do student films. And I think the schools are getting very good about, ensuring that you get your footage. So I've done a number of short films where I did not get footage, which is disappointing.
Yeah.
But then I think, okay, I had a small role, but it was nice. And I thought, that would look good on my demo reel. But, c'est la vie.
La vie for sure.
Yeah.
Jim, I have time for one more question for you, sir. And it's what makes Jim Carrey smile?
Oh, well, I would say acting and hanging around actors is one thing, but I want to plug my screenplay as well, which makes me smile. And it's called The Acadians. With Real Heart, we actually did a live read of it. This was about a year ago. And it was really extraordinary to see the actors then playing the roles and, reading the lines and what sounded good and what, was kind of not so good. So that makes me smile too. And if it ever gets produced, that'll make me smile big time. So any producers out there who want to have a real Canadian story based on a true story, I've got it. I've got an award-winning pilot episode for this limited series. So anyway, and I have lots of ideas. Anyway, thanks so much, Chris. Really appreciate it. Enjoyed talking to you. It's good to see you. What are you up to these days?
Well, Jim, I gotta let you loose here, but we'll touch base for sure. Everyone, amazing Jim Carrey. Make sure you find out wherever you can to get a hold of him. Producers out there, he has award-winning scripts. Remember to smile to inspire, and have a fantastic day, everyone. Thank you so much, Jim.
Thank you, Chris.